got a lot of issues. What's going on, you know? And um, they had done some tests and found out she had a chromosome disorder that was causing all of her functions from developing, her digestive system and her muscular system.
Hey everyone, Carolina Girl here. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to part 2 of Gypsy's microdeletion. I couldn't make you guys wait. Let's go ahead and recap on part 1. Gypsy has 1Q21.1 microdeletion. There are 47 symptoms that are associated with 1Q21.1. The deletion was identified in 2008. They made testing available 3 years later in 2011. And Gypsy was one of the first ones tested, diagnosed, and documented with 1Q21.1. And I think that's about it. Yeah, I think that's about it with that. So let's go ahead and get started with this second video. Go ahead and dive right on in. Everybody remember this famous screenshot, right? This is her sitting in the middle of her medical records. I believe she took this for like some kind of a promo shot for Lifetime, doing Lifetime After Lockup or Life After Lockup or whatever it was called. Someone asked her on this post about her microdeletion. And of course, that comment was, or that question was deleted, but she replied to it. And it must have been about Nina, the beauty influencer, because that's what she was replying about. She said, Nina is very uneducated. I have a genetic microdeletion of one of my chromosomes, but I am part of the 75% of individuals who bears no effects. She believes that it makes the surgeries necessary. False. And Gypsy is bound and determined. She wants to try to minimize this as much as possible. She does, you know, she admits she has the deletion, but she's not going to admit she has any effects by it. She's really trying hard to keep from having to admit anything, because if she does, then it's going to take away from her narrative that she's been putting out to everybody, which everything's coming out anyway. And she really either just needs to stop, or, you know, I mean, I don't know. I've got a couple more videos that I'm working on, and I'm in the process of working on, and I feel like she just needs to stop. So anyway, like I said, she admits here, or she denies, you know, being affected by it. And so remember, there was 47 symptoms of the deletion, okay? And this is a list of Gypsy's symptoms of the deletion. This is actually what she has, that I can prove she has. And these are all symptoms of the deletion. And you see how anxiety, it's occasional. High palate, it's frequent. Now, this means that, you know, this is frequent in the people that they've tested. And so it's a frequent symptom of these people. And so microcephaly, scoliosis, short stature. So short stature, microcephaly, and high palate, these are all three things that she has. And they're all frequent symptoms. Okay. We're going to start with the first one, anxiety. I have 3 prison emails of hers to 3 different people regarding 3 different scenarios, and her having anxiety about all of them. So it shows it's outbound. It's from Gypsy. That's her prison number, and the rest has been redacted. This was done by the prison itself before they released the prison emails. And so I do not know who she's talking to here. It says, blank, I'm having a lot of anxiety right now. I just had a friend let me listen to a small bit, the latest video from blank and blank on their YouTube channel, excuse me. Blank is sending threats to me and claims she's in fact writing the parole board and to do everything she can to keep me in prison or be committed into a mental facility. So that's one example of anxiety she's having. This is another prison email. I do know who she's talking to here. It was a male suitor, but because he's not one of the public ones, meaning Ken or Ryan, I will not say who she's talking to here. But she says, on an anxiety meter, I'm like pushing 8. This news about blank writing a book is irritating my soul. Of all people, that woman grinds my gears. And here is one more email of her having some more anxiety. I'm still not quite sure who she's talking about here. It's got to be a male suitor, but I'm not quite sure who it is. She says, it was actually me. I busted myself because I was having bad anxiety about it, so I turned myself in. Sucks being responsible. Anyways, yes, honey, I miss you so much. XO, XO, XOX. I just want to cuddle. So that was 3 different scenarios of anxiety with 3 different people. And she's just too much. So the second one on the list is high palate. Okay. These are some of the issues having a high palate can cause. Becca Scoops goes over this in one of her videos, so I will link that as well in the description box. But a high palate can cause several issues in humans, particularly in infants and children. Here are some of the potential problems associated with high palate. Breathing difficulties. A high palate can restrict airflow, leading to difficulties in breathing, especially during sleep, which may result in conditions like sleep apnea, which her grandfather even admitted that when she was younger, she had to have a sleep machine because during the night she would stop breathing and some kind of alarm would go off or something. So the grandfather even said that in one of her documentaries. Speech problems. The shape of the palate can interfere with proper tongue movement, potentially leading to speech difficulties, particularly with consonants. Dental issues. A high palate can contribute to dental problems, such as crowding of teeth and misalignment, which may require dental treatment. Feeding challenges. In infants, a high palate can make nursing or bottle feeding difficult as it may hinder proper suction. Nasal congestion. The shape of the palate can impact airflow through the nasal passages, leading to chronic nasal congestion. I guess it says it's important to seek professional evaluation if you suspect a high palate, as early intervention can help. I can't tell what it says because that thing's blocking my view, and it says issues effectively. So third on the list is microcephaly, which is a smaller than average head. This is the average normal circumference of a female head. So the normal head circumference of an adult female is approximately 55 centimeters, with a typical range between 53 to 58.5 centimeters. This measurement can vary slightly based on individual factors, but these figures represent the average and normal range for adult females. Okay. And so Gypsy's, if you look here, this was actually done May 29th, 2013. And you come over here to where it says vitals and height and weight. And 1, 2, 3, 4 down, it says head circumference. It's 51.0 centimeters. So it was 4 centimeters below normal for head circumference. So that's why she was diagnosed with microcephaly. And so while we're here, we look at right below the head circumference was body mass index. Okay. It was 19.29 kilograms. A normal BMI for a 4'11 female is between 18.5 and 24.9. So she was considered healthy. And the reason why I'm pointing that out is because there's been quite a few instances where she's tried to make people believe she was malnourished when she went to prison, and she wasn't malnourished. For 4'11", she looked pretty good. And I went over this in one of my other videos. I can't remember what she said she weighed, but she was within the healthy weight range uh, when she was booked into the Waukesha County Sheriff's Department. Fourth on the list is scoliosis. I have two prison emails from different times of her stint. One was early on and the other was towards the end. The first one was dated August 31st, 2018 to an unidentified source. She says, "Hey, blank, smiley face. No, not yet. Still works, but it's still a pain to use. So I sent you the visiting form. When you finish filling it out, send it to the prison, smiley face. Hip problems. Psh, 65. Okay, I'm 80. No, I get it. I have mild scoliosis and causes me lower back pain. So I get the aches and pains. Anyways, by the time you get this, I will have already talked to you on the phone. But good news, I have started a new class. It's for trauma coping skills. So I'm going back to my natural hair color, and red just didn't spark my interest as much as I had hoped. TGIF, the weekend is here. Yes, it was long day at school and work. Anyway, so that one I'm not quite sure who it was to. This next one is actually to Ryan, her ex-husband. At the time, I don't know if they were married yet or if it was right before they got married, but this is to Ryan. It says, "Baby, I'm starting to worry about my back pain. If I stand for long periods of time, by the end of the night, I'm in pain, like not screaming pain, but enough I can cry a little because it hurts. I'm worried I won't be able to work during doing hair when I get out. I have pain from the mild scoliosis in my back. My hips hurt, my knees hurt. I feel like I'm falling apart. Also, these metal bunks are hell on my body. 6.5 years with these bunks. No wonder I can ache so bad." The fifth one on my list is short stature. And so let's look at that one. Yeah, the fifth one on my list is short stature. And it's frequent. It's a frequent symptom for this deletion. So Gypsy is 4'11", and I think you can pretty much look at her and tell she's small. And the average adult height for the adult female is 5'4". So she is definitely smaller than usual or average. And the last on the list is strabismus, which we heard Dr. Robert Still state Gypsy did have it and she needed the surgeries or she would have gone blind. Here is a clip of Gypsy on Bree's panel a couple weeks ago claiming she needed glasses.
Get glasses at Walmart.
For what?
Because I need glasses.
Oh, I saw you said you're going to need classes at Walmart.
No.
I was like, oh my God, you got to talk about
Glasses. I'm going to go get a vision exam at Walmart. And I'm going to get some pair of glasses. Because, like, when my eyes get really tight, I'm going to go get a vision. My vision starts to get a little blurry. And so I just would like glasses to help me focus.
No, I get that. My sister's like,
And so that is the result of her getting glasses. And so remember that behavioral issues are a symptom of 1Q2 1.1 deletion. It says yes, behavioral issues are a symptom of 1Q2 1.1 deletion syndrome. Individuals with this syndrome may experience a range of behavioral problems, including autism spectrum disorders, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and mood disorders. These behavioral issues can manifest as difficulties in communication, social interaction, and learning, and may require special education and therapeutic interventions. So, this is an excerpt out of Gypsy's book, Chapter 3, page 27. She said, Mama's health was not the best, as she often reminded me, especially when she wanted to get me to behave or do something I didn't want to do. You know I'm not feeling well, baby. Why you sassing me? She said she was bipolar and had schizophrenia, but it's unclear whether those were legitimately diagnosed. I did bear witness to her frightening highs and lows. So it made me want to look up, because she states Dee Dee is bipolar and schizophrenia or schizophrenic. Out of curiosity, I looked up if bipolar was hereditary, and it is. Says yes, bipolar disorder is hereditary. Research indicates that genetics plays a significant role, with studies showing that individuals with a high family history of bipolar disorder have a higher risk of developing the condition. The hereditability of bipolar disorder is estimated to be between 60% and 85%, meaning that genetics accounts for a substantial portion of the risk. Additionally, bipolar disorder is considered polygenic, involving multiple genes that each contribute to the overall risk. So bipolar is hereditary, but then I looked to see if it was a symptom of the 1Q2 1.1 deletion, and it's not, from what I can gather. It says the 1Q2 1.1 deletion syndrome is associated with various psychiatric and behavioral disorders, including autism spectrum disorders, anxiety, mood disorders, schizophrenia, and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. This syndrome is caused by deletion in specific region of chromosome 1, which can lead to a range of developmental and neurological issues. While the specific relationship between 1Q2 1.1 deletion and bipolar disorder is not explicitly mentioned in the sources, the syndrome's association with mood disorder suggests a potential link to mood-related conditions. So, she said that she thought Dee Dee was schizophrenic too, or that's what Dee Dee would tell her, she was schizophrenic. Well, I looked to see if schizophrenia was hereditary, and guess what? It is. Yes, schizophrenia is considered hereditary. Research indicates that about 80% of the chance of developing schizophrenia can be explained by genetic factors. If you have a close relative with schizophrenia, your risk of developing the condition increases significantly. However, no single gene is responsible. Rather, multiple genes may contribute to the risk, along with environmental factors. Overall, schizophrenia tends to run in families, highlighting its genetic components. And so not only is it hereditary, but it is a symptom of 1Q2 1.1 deletion. So I don't know if that is like a double whammy for Gypsy or not, but it's hereditary and it's also a symptom of the 1Q2 1.1. So I do think that Gypsy has some kind of behavioral issues going on. And this is just my opinion on her and her behavior since she's been out of prison. These are issues that Gypsy admits to having in her book. Chapter 18, page 124. She says, according to the penal system, I didn't qualify for formal psychotherapy, which was ironic, being that my first stop at Greene County was suicide watch. I was too well. For a person who was always told she wasn't ever well, this was surprising to hear. However, I was able to read books on a bunch of issues that definitely affected me: codependency, PTSD, insecurity, abandonment, personality disorders, addiction, trust, and on and on and on. Books were a salvation. Sadly, toward the end of my time at Chillicothe, the books were banned. They were being used to traffic drugs into the prison. Knowing how much books help, labeling them contraband seemed like a drastic measure that would render itself ineffective in the long run. Where there's a will, there's a way. I wanted to include this because Gypsy states that this is one of her legit diagnoses. Back in the day with Dee Dee, and that she had and that was being lactose intolerant. So here, this is a place of an excerpt out of Gypsy's book. And it says, after we dropped off our mail, we ate at the Waffle House. And what she means by when she says dropped off the mail, she's talking about after they dropped off the murder weapon, because they mailed the murder weapon from her house to Nick's house. So that's what she means when she says after we dropped off the mail. She's talking about after she dropped off the murder weapon at the post office. Her and Nick went to the Waffle House to eat. Says, I wasn't used to eating or drinking, and the drugs made me nauseous, so the short stack and chocolate milk I ordered made me sick to my stomach. One of the legitimate medical conditions I have is lactose intolerance, so I was doubled over in pain. We had to go back to the room so I could lie down before our long trip to Big Bend. So one of the medical conditions she admits to having and says is a legit diagnosis is lactose intolerance. And so I just wanted to make note of that. So finally, the surgery that she was supposed to have that made her go over the top and kill her mom, the surgery on her voice box, as she calls it, or whatever. This is an excerpt out of her book. Chapter 12, page 87. After the beating in the alley, the 2 weeks tied to the bed, the BB gun, the night in the shed, a lifetime of lies, spells, isolation, starvation, emotional manipulation, and medical procedures with life-changing side effects, this unnecessary exploratory surgery on my voice box felt most threatening to me. Any slip of the hand could leave me voiceless, mute forever. Gosh, never mind. I'm not going to say anything. This is what I believe. This is what I felt. This is when the thought came, it's me or her. How dramatic. So dramatic. This is actually a screenshot. Oh, I don't have it. This is a screenshot I took from Becca Scoop's video showing that the consultation appointment for the surgery had been canceled. And so this was just the consultation to talk about the surgery being scheduled. And so they didn't even go, this appointment was canceled. And so the surgery appointment was never even, it was never even scheduled. And so this is, like I said, this is Becca Scoops. And so I'm going to put a link to the video that you can find all this information in the description box on my video, because she goes into all this and she can explain it better than I can. So I'm going to send you over there to her. So this wraps up my videos on Gypsy's microdeletion. I hope they were helpful in explaining what 1Q21.1 is and the effects and variety of issues that it affects a variety of issues, I also hope that I cleared up what known symptoms of the deletion Gypsy has and that can be proven. Gypsy tries to downplay the deletion as much as possible because it debunks her defense. It doesn't matter at this point because she won't go back to prison, but Gypsy will never admit the truth. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so, so that way you don't miss any future content. If you would, before you go, hit that like button. It helps me get my video out in the algorithm. Thank you again to all of y'all, and y'all have a nice evening.
Hey, Fatty, this is Gypsy Rose reporting from Aurora, Missouri. I am about to dive off our